Y ahí estamos grabando. FENCast grabando. Hoy un episodio que it's long overdue, very long overdue. It should have been done way back in the beginnings of the podcast, pero por fin, better late than never, as they say. With an artist who I've shared many steps along the way, be they in la escena as fans, later as artists within the scene per se, uh, open mics, writing, sharing the stage in books together with, Xavier Osvaldo Aymat. How are you doing, my dude?
Excellent. Super agradecido, super excited, and so stoked to be here. As I 100% agree. Long overdue, Mr. Fen.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
It feels good. It feels really good.
¿Verdad que sí, man? ¿Verdad que sí? It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but dude, before actually like getting to it, where can people contact you or find your work?
That's a good question. Lo inmediato, you can find me immediately on my social media handles, which is Instagram, Facebook. I don't have a Twitter. Never had a Twitter. But me pueden buscar mi personal en Sav Magwez, which is XAVMAGUEZ. Y Grumpa, lo más fácil para encontrar como que lo inmediatamente creativo or like some of the work, visual, sonic, Grumpa. Just look up Grumpa PR. You'll find us.
Beautiful.
We're on YouTube, Spotify. We enjoy our Spotify. Yeah, la página de YouTube, we just started that recently porque siempre ha sido sporadic ese proceso. Nunca algo, un homepage sólido, y eso ha sido como que un problema súper que yo sé que I'm not alone when it comes to like artists having like a home base. Like if I could say to people beginning or doing something and that they want to do this or do something cool, write down your passwords, write down your accounts. Because you need that, it's important, y no lo quieres perder y seguir creando cuentas, la cual nos ha pasado a nosotros. So,
for sure.
That. Yeah, Grumpa.
Awesome. But dude, I think the first time we met fue como que no open mics de Vox, o si no como que yendo a shows, eventually we just met a través de la escena. Sí. Pero one of the things that first connected us was your love of music, which of course, I mean, you are a musician, y writing, specifically poetry, y a veces prose, right? So before, talking about the band eventually, the question would be, ¿qué vino primero, writing or music?
The first thing that came out was definitely writing before music. Music was an afterthought. I was not primed or prepared. Music, yo decidí hacer música a cojón because I was never really like embraced or encouraged to do it from the immediate circle. I was never like, it's not like, hey, don't do that. But there was moments that specifically I remember being a kid and being like a baby, almost a baby, trepándome in pre-K to this piano. And I was just like, there's this big box stand-up piano, and I sat on it. It was humongous to me, and I just started going like wah 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 like that. And the teacher she's like, don't touch that. And so piano was out for years. I started playing piano later on, and rock music and guitar. Eventualmente, like I picked it up by myself, but first and foremost was writing. I was encouraged to like writing because coming down like as I'm at Puerto Rico early on because I was raised here. I was born somewhere else. But I was raised here my entire life. I came here to meet my grandmother when I was a baby, and I stayed and we never left. And so my grandfather was an English professor in el colegio in Mayagüez for like 30 years. He was and so that part was always, my uncle was very literate. He was eloquent. He wrote, my grandfather wrote, he wrote like a manual for Xerox. It was important. Anyway, but yeah, I wrote, and I remember loving reading porque me pusieron a leer cosas como Dr. Seuss, and I received positive feedback very early on from reading and being creative that way. Now I always had a knack for rhyming and just like speaking, which eventually helped me out in college, like because I fumbled a lot in college, like figuring out what I wanted to do. I started off in art, and I was like, "Fuck this! This is like they're making this at the academically, it becomes competitive rather
Mm.
than interesting or cultivando creatividad genuina, auténtica. It becomes more fabricated and just like cookie cutter. Like you have to ascribe to a mold. And I was like, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. I knew that immediately. Bam, out of art school. And then I jumped into biology because I really fell in love with farming. And I had moved to Utuado, lived there. But in the university I was like, nah, I don't want to do this either. Technically, I have a passion for these things, art, agriculture. But then I remember when I was really down in the dumps and un punto bien bajo, I looked up into the gray sky. I looked up and it was like this big hole in the sky, and it like I was outside of Ricomini, and I had this revelation. I was like, in this case, do what you're good at. And I was like, do what I'm good at, because I had to pass college. I was like, do what you're good at. And I was like, I can speak. I can read. Let's do that. So I went through English, and it me fue mucho mejor. It went much better. And I graduated and I figured it out. And so I ran with it. I was like, I'm a poet. And now I know it. So let's go. Let's roll with it. And I did, and I've been rolling with it ever since. That's given me freedom to just kind of live creatively, have my bohemian period where I was just like kind of rolling however I felt. That got me a lot of good love, and it got me into a lot of trouble. But here we are. Y como tal, yeah, writing is something that I feel good about because you can play God essentially, and you can inform other people and share experience and create experience and contribute to the act of creation, which I'm all about. So yeah, literature, art, poetry, plays, music, songs, these are a great vehicle that I take advantage of, and I roll with, and it helps me move through the world in a way that makes sense.
Of course, of course. Eh, como dije, when I first met you fue through music and literature. Y back then, pues, I knew that you wrote more poetry and music, pero le estás metiendo más a la prosa y como dijiste los plays, maybe even script writing.
Yeah, I still get I actually just had an idea today about a story. I had an idea about a story of a guy who was learning day trading, and he just got into that zone, and it's truly like a culture, man. Like day traders and people who are into stocks and crypto and all that shit. It's like a true passion. And que pasa? He eventually, like, he's one day just like doing it, and he gets really obsessed with it. And one day, like, his stock goes super up on a trade, and he's like in this euphoria of like, oh my god, I did it. And then suddenly he gets distracted for a second, and it crumbles and it falls, and then he like basically like lo que falta es que se le caiga la cabeza. He's like dead. Short story. And it happens. That's the thing, that these things happen. So I think, yeah, prose and stuff. Right now, the way I express myself, I still write down my ideas, but I'm not as it hasn't aged or matured in a way where I've it's my main focus, which is to like produce for screens or a novel or even like non-fictional. It's just like poetry is just easier. Songs are easy for me. Like, I can write a song. I could write 3 songs in a day, truly. And pero sí, poetry is easy. I don't have as much discipline as I'd like at this moment in time for more serious writing that way. But the music and poetry gets me around. And what I would really like to do is publish some like poetry books, because I've been meaning to do that for like 5 years. And I remember someone who I respect very much gave me like un presentimiento, an omen that they had. It kind of like me echaron ese mal de ojo, and people are impressionable, and like you gotta beware what you say around people. And he said like, I have the feeling that you're gonna waste 5 years. This was around when I was like 20, and I guess I see what he means. Like I had not published poetry. Of course, I published in like Sábanas and the Vox Populi and got like something of a reputation through that. Whatever, but yeah, I would like to actually like have a volume out because it would be cool. You know all about that. You have
Yeah,
goals, man. You're a heavyweight champion of that shit. Like you're pushing it out.
ya te iba a decir que whenever you need help, just ask away and I can help you in the process. Y también te entiendo en el sentido de, like, por lo menos para mí, again, poetry is easier. Prose, I'm somewhat reluctant to it. No sé si porque, I don't know if because I haven't read as much prose as I would like before actually publishing something in that field. Pero I'm open to it. Recientemente, I had a good spark of a lot of short stories. So who knows? Maybe this year, next year, who knows? As mentioned earlier, we also met through the music. So talk to me about cómo Grumpa se formó y cómo, because I know that you've had solo presentations every now and then. So, ¿cómo ha trabajado Grumpa? Like, when did it officially begin? Porque I remember en el show aquel en Añaco where I recorded you guys and helped you out with a little bit of a highlights video.
Yeah.
Pero before that, asumo que ya estaban. Y back then era como que sonido más rock and rollish, punk rockish. Ahora más tan como que experimental, progressing, psychedelic rock. So, how was Grumpa originally founded y cómo ha ido progresando across time?
Grumpa, gracias por la pregunta. Grumpa se formó, es verdad, tienes razón, it formed un poquito antes de que se grabó ese video, de ese performance en Añaco, which I thank you for, Pan Con Ajo Productions. Man, I was in like maybe my first or second year of college. It was like 2016. A punto de ser 17. And habían cosas pasando y todo eso. Y como te dije, I had dropped out of art school. Like that concentration made hell for the creative in me. And I was like, no, let me do something else. So I was like fumbling around and I thought, I gotta do something else. Y se presentó una oportunidad para un show en Aguadilla, I remember. I think my memory's furry, but I wanted to do it. I was like, okay, I have an instrument. I'm practicing songs. I've been like trying to practice songs for like, I couldn't play for shit yet. Not really. And ¿y qué pasa? Grumpa fue una contestación, una respuesta a un vacío que yo sentí que hacía falta, algo que yo personalmente necesitaba, requería, quería y exigía de una escena en la que yo me formé. Y porque the truth is, yo me formé, my upbringing in hardcore scene. Like, if you remember, we would go to like these hardcore fucking shows and I lived for the mosh pit. I fucking adored it. I loved it. And así uno se volvía como que the core like was formed and you become hard through that and you love it and you enjoy it and you create community. The connection of mosh y el baile and all that was really, really important to me. But it got boring. Hardcore got boring. It was like too monochromatic. It was like this blend of like gray, black, and like pale yellow, sand yellow. And I was like, I need more color than this. I like punk rock, of course. And my aim was to fill a void y llenar ese espacio y decir, mira, aquí hay mucho espacio para otros idiomas de música que kids my age or people in mi comunidad aren't exposed to. And I was listening to all sorts of really good music from California, Europe, and from all ages, and even like back and African, and especially reggae. I loved the reggae. Me encantaba. And so I wanted to form something that was gritty, authentic, earnest, sincere, but also bouncy, fun enough to dance to, sexy as all hell, and hot, something cool, something like a vehicle. And then it was a perfect marriage for the poetry. I had poetry, I had thoughts, and I was like, I can combine this, my thoughts, my journals, and all these concepts, and put them to music, and you got songs. All you got to know is like 2 chords, and you can move shit around, man. ¿Y qué pasa? I still remember what formed like the spark, like what that was really necessary. I felt that there was a lacking in the scena, pero the spark, the thunder, the first years before I could actually like execute something efectivamente for people to enjoy. And because I've been like, because it was hard thing, it was a cuesta arriba for a long time. It was never easy. And it wasn't always fun. Most of the Grumpa has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Honestly, talk about like, we've had 11 members. I've had 7 drummers. 7 drummers, dude. And it's hard to keep it together because, you have to share a language, share an idea, share a bond, share time, share showers, all sorts of shit, share clothes, all people. It's hard. Not everyone has it for the long haul. Pero the spark really came from, I remember I was 15 I was 15. This was years before. And I walked into the mall one day, random, and I split, and I started walking around, and I walked into a Hot Topic. And I remember there was like a bunch of things moved out of the way. Y se había formado como un espacio en el medio, and people were gathered around, and there was equipment. There was musical equipment. I was like, what's going on? And I had never really seen much music, like bands yet. Porque cuando eres un teenager, tú empiezas a los 15, 14, you start moving out and seeing stuff, experiencing stuff. And so I walk into this store, and there's people huddled around, and there's this guy, like this tall guy with a cap and like some flannel on and a big beard and like a beer belly. And he's like trepándose, and he's like fumbling around. He's like like that. And then this other guy walks next to me, and he's dressed in a mesón uniform, like la sandwichera. And he says to me, and I look at him, and he says to me, "Man, this band sucks." I was like, "What? It's gonna be a band?" I was just like, "What? A band? A real life band? Okay, amazing." And then the next thing I know, the drummer sits down, he takes his shirt off, and he's like about to sit down there, and like the amps start like, woo, you hear the feedback, and I see the mesón kid. He like takes his hat off, and he steps on stage and grabs a guitar, and he's in the fucking band. And then, dude, ¿qué pasó? Like that was the beginning of a birth of something, because esa banda, they killed it. They were the fastest, hardest, killer fucking band I had ever experienced. And to that point, like I had never heard anything so shocking, just like in your face. Esa banda se llamaba No Muertos. No Muertos was essential for the West Side. They were excellent. And Gone Too Soon, and they were true warriors. And to this day, every time I ever see el cantante, I shake his hand and I like tip my hat off to him with respect. I was like, you inspired me. You inspired me to do this, dude. That, and I saw You Vultures that year too, which was Deco from Dan Ciegos and Amate previous. And I bought both those records. I bought the No Muertos CD, and I bounced that around through my friends, Joseph Reyes, Chris, the original drummer from Grumpa. And we all liked a lot of music, but I owned that physically, and I bought the You Vultures CD, which was fucking pornography. man.
Yeah.
That U Vulture CD was
Yeah.
so dope, man. Eso era como que dangerous. It was like, oh my God. And they incorporated sampling. So
Yeah.
ahí ya era como que un punto importante también lo que hizo U Vultures en lo que eventualmente he continued on with Tan Ciego, which was like a marriage of, it doesn't have to be just like guitar driven, like rock music has to be one thing in a box. Like, no, because ya está incorporando un elemento como sampling, which is so relevant in hip hop or you know, dub and all these things. And that opened even a bigger door. I was like, okay, wait, you don't have to be anything specifically. And so by doing that, I got bored with my hardcore scene and all the hardcore bands, which I loved. But I was sick of seeing all the same t-shirts, all the same emo haircuts, and like, yeah, I was like, fuck this shit. No, there's more to this. There's more. And so I remember I got a call, or I answered an ad. I was like, oh, we're looking for a band to acompañar this band a tocar en Aguadilla. And I was like, I gotta do something. So I hit up my buddy Chris, who lived in Altura at the time, and I had met him in Las Calles somehow. That's another story. I don't remember exactly how I met. I think we met through a girl, of course. And we got along. We were both Pisces. We were both cool. We were cool fishes. And he was real cool. He had like dreads and shit. And era manco. So for the beginning of the he was a drummer who basically could only play one hand in his feet. So that was already right off the bat un comienzo interesante para laying down the foundation for Grumpa, which kind of influenced why it was so hard. Because I couldn't play for shit yet. And we had a one-handed drummer.
Yeah.
Fuck. So that was interesting, but and a bunch of other things, you know, elements like bad behavior, what you were doing, what you were eating, what you were consuming, you know, your control of yourself. There was very little self-control back then, but we had fun, and we moved around. Pero yo sé lo que se siente empezar desde cero and like receive positive feedback, like dudes saying, this is dope, thank you for doing that. Girls being like, me encanta. And I also know what it feels like to book a gig, get on stage, and after the second song, the owner comes up to you and says, you guys gotta go. You gotta get the fuck out. I don't want, like, bye. Like, out. I know what it feels like to have great success, play with your favorite band. I know what it feels like to connect the dots and live a dream. I know what it feels like to be so frustrated with the performance that I literally take it out on my instrument. And it's not just like, oh, I'm so punk rock, like I'm hurting my instrument. It's like, no, I physically can't contain the rage and I have to destroy the instrument in which I create. So through the act of destruction, I create some kind of balance. And so Grumpa incorporated those ingredients, the destrucción, creation, and the embracing of the strange, and not necessarily like just the easy. Grumpa's never been easy.
De hecho, again, esos fueron como que los beginnings. Maybe in a future, maybe podemos hablar un poquito más de the entire thing, cómo se ha movido. Sí. Pero something related to the band que quería preguntarte también era que recientemente, throughout the pandemic, pudieron grabar algo en San Juan Sound. So, ¿cómo se dio esa colaboración allá en ese spot?
Eso está cool. Ese espacio, nosotros terminamos tocando, esto fue para 2019, justamente antes de la pandemia, like right before the pandemic. We went over to play El Local, and we played that show. We played with some cool people, like this band called Rayfers, Feeling, and Le Grifo. They were starting out too. We all were like around, and we played that show, and some people, like, I remember it was good. Some people responded well to it, but we were, that was a nightmare of a show. It was a nightmare of a show for a lot of reasons, just bad experience, but it was a blessing. Porque cuando salimos de ese show, el pana Dario, which was a member of this band, Los Niños Estelares. Right?
Yeah.
And he came up to me. He was like, Xavi, you should, like, como un profeta. He came up to me. He's like, you need to record your songs because I noticed you guys play a lot of these songs, which are really good, but you only have like published like a few songs on like SoundCloud or YouTube. Like, it's not enough. And you didn't even play any of those songs. So what are you doing? I was like, yeah, it's really hard. It's expensive to make a record. Like, we're doing it by ourselves. I had, para ese tiempo, I had met Jose, which is now the current, like, the main guitarist, the lead guitarist. Y él lo estaba grabando porque ya tenía experiencia. Y fue un proceso de un año, nosotros grabando canciones, desde que nos conocimos. Ever since we met, we basically started like recording. And he lost his laptop and we lost a whole year's of work. So we had to start from zero again. Eso pasa, whatever. And Dario says, like, you should go to this spot in Viejo San Juan called San Juan Sound. I was like, what for? And me dice, no, man, confía. They're cool. And they're like, they do everything pro bono. They'll like help you out. They'll hook you up, man. I was like, what? We're broke motherfuckers. Wait, you serious? He's like, yeah, go for it. Like, take your songs to the studio. It's a beautiful studio. And it was one of the best things I ever did career-wise for that band, for Grumpa. Like, it was already 6 months into the pandemic and I had scheduled a meeting. So it was dangerous. We ended up going to San Juan and recording. I met Matt Burr, and he's the guy who owns that studio. And that guy's an angel. He's a great person. He's a great supporter of the band and the arts over here. And he's doing good work. From what I can tell and from my judgment, he's a good man doing good work. And what's the problem is that our transportation, our funds, our time has always been limited. So we could only bring a whole band, a drummer, a bass player, a guitarist, me, all of us in one car over to San Juan. And we could only afford like staying there one day. We went there, we met Matt, we met Josh, the technician there, the audio technician, and we clicked. Something clicked. And we got to work. And we recorded, Fen, you know how many songs we recorded that day? In one day. We recorded 23 songs in one day. We just got to work, man. And so but that was 2020. We still are releasing single by single material that was recorded that day because it was such a fucking tornado session. Whoosh. That, oh man, it took work. It takes work to take all that lightning, capture it in a bottle and like make something, ponerlo afuera en el mundo that's gonna be enjoyable. So it took time. It's still taking time. Y todo esto, we don't have an album out yet. And it's been fun. But it's also like, we get that feeling of like, when's it gonna happen? What are you doing? When we're waiting, come on, give me more. I need it. And we're taking our time. We're just testing the waters because of the music. This is what we have one life, and we're figuring this out. And I chose Grumpa. I'm doing it, and that's it. ¿Qué te digo? San Juan Sound, yeah, it's been good, and ever since we've kept a really good relationship con ellos desde esa primera sesión in San Juan Sound, almost 2 years ago. And so I'm still good friends with Matt. We basically, he's got an open door for us at the studio, and it's comfortable, when we get to be there, we relax, been able to crash there and create freedom, and it works for us. En ese sentido, we're good, but it's a slow process, but it's worth it because as soon as we started releasing música como Dedos was the first official single from that session, and we got it on vinyl, and it's there forever. It's a testament. It's like forever, it'll spin, and you did something, like bam, something to show for it. And that was cool. That was really important because you don't know what the hell you're gonna do. Like, how long am I gonna shake my ass and sing these fucking songs? You know, like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing it for? But that helped. That made kind of validation, you know, fuck, I did something. All right. Y por ahí para abajo, then we, through that, se nos abrieron unas puertas bien hijo de puta, como que tener dedo en las redes. Playlists started picking it up, and we started like playing a lot in Europe and in Africa. Not, but for some reason, uno no es profeta en su propia tierra. Like, I want Latin America, I want Puerto Rico, but we still haven't figured out how to like spot it in aquí localmente. Like, we have our local following, we have our fans aquí, but we don't move around as much as we should because of like car situation or money, or we all live too far. Uno vive en Pepino, San Sebastián, Aguadilla, otro vive en Mayagüez, otro en San Germán. Like, when it comes together, all the stars have to align and the planets have to be perfect. Dude, it's un papelón every time. But when we do get together, we make sure that we're recording and that we're doing something, because otherwise it's excruciating. It's
Como quiera,
so,
como
por ahí por abajo, right, doors started opening, playlists, more streams, figuring out what it feels like to get paid for your music. That was like, what? I get paid? Cool. More. And then we dropped Awu, and that was cool because that was like our first sort of experiment with a music video, and we met some great friends in San Juan and collaborated with great filmmaker and a wonderful model, a human being. Keina La Reina was the model. She's excellent. And Ana Paula, she edited the video, and I directed it with Josie, and we like shot the whole thing on an iPhone and created this lyric video of just the concept of this, like the spirit of like a headbanging lover lady of rock, you know, and we got that with Au y capturamos un espíritu bueno with that. So that was also a success doing that. And then, yeah, that was another song from that session. And por ahí para abajo, we started recording, also releasing like our own little stuff, like home recordings, like I Want to Be Your Dog, which is a cover by a band that we love, the Stooges. And then we created something original, a song of ours called Jardín El Fin. We recorded that in Aguadilla. Y por ahí para abajo hemos seguido produciendo, and one of our last releases was No Más Paz. No Más Paz was cool too. And por ahí para abajo, we're consistently releasing more and more. Yeah.
Que se puede esperar mucho de Grumpa entonces. Algo que también noté fue que through Grumpa y por el proyecto que, la revista que habías comenzado con no me acuerdo su nombre ahora mismo, Sofía, I think her name is.
Sofía, yes.
Yeah. Nada, lo que había notado es que through both projects, despite you como que not finishing art school por las razones que fueron, you came back to doing visual art, sea dibujo, pintura, what have you.
Yeah.
So, ¿cómo te ha sido el proceso de revisiting that art form?
Eso, me hiciste una pregunta temprano en la entrevista de what came first, literature or music, and the answer is painting. The first thing I really, really figured out that I loved was drawing and painting and designing. And now, back in the day when I was a kid, before I had music, o antes que yo sabía que podía hacer poesía, yo me expresaba por lo visual y por arte en painting, y pintaba un cojón y tenía ese apoyo de pintar y dibujar. Y siempre tuve ese medio, like that's something that I appreciate, the visual. God bless the eyes, you know. And that's why Grumpa is such a good vehicle still for me, because even though I share it and it's no longer really just mine,
Mhm.
Pero a través de Grumpa es un vehículo seguro que yo puedo destacarme con la poesía, la prosa, la idea, transmit philosophy. It's an expressionist project in essence. It's expressionism. And la música, of course, que es un pasión mío, and I love it with all my soul. But through Grumpa, I've always consistently accompanied the music or the posts with visual art stickers, you know, all sorts of designs and t-shirts. And por eso me funciona being in a band. If you're a creative and you don't necessarily like, no te destacas en una cierta cosa específicamente a lo máximo, a lo 100%, métete una banda o become a musician, porque así tú puedes combinar todas las destrezas, really honestly, in a way that's effective. So, yeah, and cuando se empezó Revuelta, such a great concept, honestly, and it's cool. It's really rare at the collector items, porque esas cosas, they circulate. It's like a really original Grumpa sticker, like the original, like that one with like the font with the V, the Grump. That's like a collector's item, and that, if you have that, you're dope. Porque eso está cool. Pero if you own an original Revuelta zine, that's a collector. And I think you own one. I remember.
I do.
Yeah. So hold on to that, because there's none left. And eso fue un proyecto, una idea bien bonita y una colaboración entre ella y yo que don't get enough attention. So we did a call out, and we said like, hey, if you have some art and you really like believe in yourself, it was a good idea. We managed to publish one edition, which was really beautiful. She did the format. I gathered a lot of the info, wrote the introduction, came up with the name, and we both shared like the beginning of the idea together. I like to think of it as a conjoint project. But yeah, she really did a great job con el formato, los colores, and we managed to circulate it around. It was cool, but it was too short-lived. It wasn't sustainable, and we couldn't do it. Ella estaba viviendo en Chicago, yo acá en Mayagüez, y no se pudo continuar así por razones.
Yeah.
Pero sí, fue una expresión válida de como que un medio creativo, like visually. I'm proud of it.
For sure. Entonces, ahora que estás practicando los tres medios frequently, ¿cuál I guess se te hace más fácil de los tres? Or do they all combine at once? And is there a difference in the creative process between each one?
Yeah, absolutely there is. Por ejemplo, like right now, este año me he enfocado más en producción, like learning how to produce, learning how to create, not just being in Grumpa, but also like doing, like creating beats and transforming sounds, and just production is more important to me now, like than it used to be, and like recording and different instruments, como que aprendiendo diferentes instrumentos, like I can play. You put anything in my hand, I'll get a sound out of it, and I'll figure something out with it. Pero, o sea, que música es más como que una interacción bien infantil, like genuino, como que wow, like how does this work, figuring out how it works, y putting esos elementos juntos y sacando un producto final, like something new. La Escuela Libre de Música, but that didn't last. That's another story. But lo de escribir is like when you trespass, like y te destapa ese bloqueo de que como que la primera página o la primera frase o de qué what do I have to say. It's like once you get rid of that cap, it's infinite. Like you get it from the ether. And you're a satellite picking up and bouncing off a signal. It's like God doing it. You know, it's the air. Like you just pick it up, you channel it. You know
Mm.
all about that because like you produce like a madman. It's easy for you, you know. And in a sense, yeah, I agree to that. That like don't censor yourself too much. Dependiendo de tu meta. Si tu metas son, if you want to write, I don't know, War and Peace, you have to have some more focus. If you want to write Moby Dick, you know, you have to have more of a strong idea and add and layer and draft and edit. But if you're a poet, you know, like, you know, that's the freedom of it. You don't have to worry too much
Mm.
about being too careful. Of course, I parámetros that you can like work with in the lines, but you don't have to. You can be whoever you want in poetry. And then painting, I unfortunately I only do like it's actually comfortable for me now. I do about 4 or 5 paintings a year now. That's
Mm.
it. Como que antes era all the time. Pero yo entré a un mercado. I started like figuring out. I remember I started working at Rincón El Mercado selling juice and reading tarot cards. And I started bringing. I used to like sit on my paintings, like canvases, and I would set up on a painting. And some people started noticing it, and I was able to like move it. And I was like, I don't have to do this as frequently anymore. Puedo hacerlo como que más concentrado, más chill, not so like al garete all the time, gastar un montón de como que materiales, like no. Eso es más enfocado. Pintura,
Yeah.
paintings, I focus. Designs, like stickers and stuff, I focus. I have a clear picture in my head and I'll do it. Yeah, but it's limited. And that, and how I care about the things, también varía. Porque, por ejemplo, yo pinté like I was hired to do this big Clemente, like this Clemente mural, like a huge painting, like the size of that wall,
Mm-hmm.
like as long as that, and I did it. And then we hang it up in Rincon one day. I was collaborating with this man named Miggy, who also like he would start the painting and I would add a figure and he would do the background and I did Clemente. And I remember I trusted him and I don't want to put it that way. It's not his fault, but estaba enganchado en Rincón, ahí en los balcones, ahí en la plaza, cool, chilling, and people were enjoying it, passing by. We were like, we're gonna sell this like nothing. Like this is so easy. People are gonna love this. Like it's easy. I had already sold like a boxer. I had sold a snake, whatever. The Clemente is gonna go. Los Tres Reyes Magos for Christmas sold those too. Clemente is an easy buy. Next day I see him. I don't see the Clemente. I'm like, where's the Clemente? He's like, someone stole it. I was like, what?
Mm.
Are you fucking serious? But the thing is, I no lo cogí mal. I took it as a compliment. I was like, oh, cool. Someone stole my art. They felt they couldn't control themselves and they just took that shit. You know, they felt like I have to have it. I can't afford it, but I have to have it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
It was like a Banksy experience when he was setting up all across New York and people were stealing the art. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Eh, dude, being such un artista de tanto medio, are there other forms that you have yet to explore but you would love to do in the future?
Yeah, totally. There's I'm working, like I said, I'm working on production. Lo que yo quiero hacer es producir un palo, man. I want to like work with someone who's got flow like a rapper or something y crearle una pista. Like I'm estoy acumulando
Mm.
tracks on tracks and tracks and different sounds and stuff. And like I want to produce a side project and another side project. And I potentially could have 4 side projects. I want to get in the medium of generating. Yeah, I want to publish poetry. I want to publish books. Another medium. I would love a martial art.
Mm.
Yeah. I want to, like, if anybody knows, point me in the right direction. I'll hit it, like, for real. I got disciplined para alguna cosa, but I think that could help a lot. Yeah, I've been able to move through the world también por el medio de como que astronomy and astrology and tarot, and that's been cool. I made some bread with that, made good friends with that. Me gustaría hacer, like, I would like fashion. I would like to be able to learn to sew really well, design, and generate wealth. Like, figure out how to do that really well, and like forget about money. That'd be great.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yo también te quería preguntar, mencionaste ahorita, you've been a part of the scene since you were basically my age when I entered. We've been teenagers. Yo lo descubrí because I had a friend who was in a band y en ese entonces pues he guided me como que mira, I play in two bands, más aquí está Puya, más aquí está Dantesco, más en MySpace están todas las bandas, so look them up. So, again, tú entraste cuando eras teenager, so you've seen it evolve, change, reimagine itself in many ways.
Yeah.
So, right now, like, como ves la escena compared to how you used to see it back in the day?
Back in the day, there was more, it was easier to just go to a show. Había un show por todos lados, como que era más frecuente. Me imagino que la generación antes de nosotros lo veía hasta más, como que había más jangueo, más bandas, más fácil, más artistas, más. Pero the truth is, en este momento en tiempo, uno puede pensar que, no, como que está apagada la escena. Oh, sí, está cabronísima la escena, está embarazada. Yo la veo embarazada. Like, la escena está tan prego. Ese ego está tan prego, man. Como que el momento es perfecto. Like, todo lo que queremos en el mundo, todo lo que existe antes, like en el pasado, lo tenemos acceso ahora también. Like, at the flip of a button, you can hear any type of music you want. You have access to so many tools, so many stories. El momento ahora es infinito. Las posibilidades son tantas. Es bien difícil y nosotros deberíamos aprovechar de esta crisis o de este trastorno, estos conflictos that we're just being bombarded on a monthly basis. De aquí hace 3 años, todo no ha parado. Pa, 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 pa. One thing after another. Terremotos, pandemia, María, Russia, all these things keep happening. Pero es una situación tan única. Mano, que you can't help but be inspired. You can't help but feel proud. Like if you're Puerto Rican, a Puerto Rican artist or a New Yorker artist or from the diaspora, like you automatically are fucking interesting, dude. You have a story to tell. You have an element of creativity, and you should tell your story because it's like I said, it's pregnant. Give life to it, give birth, because it's so dope right now. Hay tanta música, tanta artista, y las paredes, las fronteras son expandidas, como que the things that divide us are less and blurring, and there's so many genres just like blending right now. It's so great. Y eso era parte de la visión inicial, como que transcend the barriers of us and them. No, yo no puedo janguear contigo porque tú un cocoro, tú un rockero, tú un metalero, tú un satánico, you know, like, un caco, like, fuck that. Like, now we all can party, we can all smoke in the same space, you know, doesn't matter.
Indeed. Se está viendo ahora un poco más cada día más. Yeah. De hecho, as of us recording this, recientemente fue el show de 10º aniversario, creo que fue, de los Walters. Estaban con Chango Menas, estaban con Angel C, so, you know, indie pop, con un poquito de lo-fi, hip hop y trap ahí con Angel C. Pronto, a fines de este mes, si no me equivoco, Todos Animales toca con Moths y con Resonance, que es como que indie pop con jazz, con metal. So, more of that, please, more of that.
Yes, more of that. Definitely. Y más espacio, como que la gente está tan apagada con el espacio, como que limitado. I remember Off the Wall was a good spot, Tertulia was a great spot, everything is just rearranged ahora, tienes que inventártela, eso sí, como que más oportunidades para artistas, porque uno entra a Off the Wall ahora mismo y da tristeza. I've tried like talking there and being like, yo, what's up? What's the situation? And they're like, oh, we're just looking for like DJs right now. I was like, that's sad, man. Like, you don't know what you're missing out on. Y la gente tiene hambre. Like, la gente quiere música en vivo. Like, you see it every day, reiterated and echoed. Como que, más música en vivo, por favor. Extraño ir a ver banda, la. Y como que, estamos ready. Estamos puestos. Lo que pasa es, pues, hay que inventársela ahora mismo. Más a nosotros. Que nosotros precisamos ir a Argentina. We were invited to go record a record in Argentina, but that shit costs money. We try and raise some money, you know, but hay que guisar, hay que tocar más. So, prioridades.
For sure. Dude, dicho eso, like, the scene cada día como que merging itself a little more. What are some artists outside of, I guess, the indie or the rock genre en la escena que te gustaría maybe do a live show or record a song with them?
Record a song with them, huh?
Or a live show, you know? Share a space together.
Share a space. I would like to... Viste, no lo he pensado en un buen momento. Me gustaría... I'd like to play maybe with like Young Miko. Like I fucking went to her concert the other day. El mes pasado, hace 2 meses. And that was lit. It was fucking lit. It was sencillo, corto, rápido, su set, todo duro. We all, I remember I caught COVID at that shit. It was worth it. I was like, damn, it was fun. You know, it was worth it, pero en verdad está cool, la energía está cool. Tocaría yo, me gustaría genuinamente tocar con un show ideal sería tocar con Señor Langosta, Right Now.
That would be super dope.
Y para destruirla quizá alguien, like, ya esto es como crema overkill, como que, alguien como Campo o Baba Gris, que hemos tocado con todos ellos, you know, we play with Campo, we play with Baba Gris. I don't know if we played with Señor Langosta, but they're great. O como un buen rapero, como que ya hemos tocado con Robertito Chong. I remember that was a good show. We played, that was important. We played with Robertito Chong, Los Vigilantes. That shit was dope. Good show. Y eso es como que lo importante, mano, de Grumpa, como que mantener el portón abierto para género. We don't really, like, I've never subscribed to being boxed in anything. Like, you cannot find me, you can't tell me, like, oh, you're an indie band or you're a punk band or you're a fucking funk band or psychedelic band. It's like, I'm whatever the fuck I want to do.
Yeah, for sure. De hecho, mencionaste Campo y one of the best shows que hubo after María fue you guys, Dan Ciego y Campo for me. Like, of the wall esa noche iba a explotar.
Sí.
To put it in a short sentence. De hecho, we need to talk about that after the interview because I have an idea. I'll let you know afterwards.
Great.
Dude, estamos recording in March, pero what are some goals for 2022? Either you as a solo artist or with Grumpa. What are some goals?
All right, I'll tell you my goals. Finish the record. Publish 2 records if we can. That's great. O por lo menos un disco y par de EP. Pero todavía faltan singles. Nos faltan como algo real, Rockstar y sí, maybe one more y después el disco. ¡Bam! O sea que eso va a estar para el verano. El disco tiene que estar para el verano porque después sé que meta, nos vamos para Argentina a grabar lo próximo. Tenemos tanta música just like sitting and waiting. It's not fair. We gotta get it out there, en verdad. Tenemos tanto. Como que not even the tip of the iceberg is out there. It's just not. Tanto. Grumpa promete. Esa la meta es el, if I can be candid, ¿verdad? No, I'm not, just, yeah, produce more, like, y establecer y como que ser como que miran, ¿verdad? Grumpa is like a staple, like Puerto Rican band, Puerto Rican artists, like, yeah, Grumpa exists and they're fucking fantastic. Esencialmente that'd be great, como que more worldwide movement. I would like that. Third meta, get Bad Bunny's phone number. Yes, I would love that. That's a goal. That's gonna happen. I will have that phone number. And I jest. No, pero okay. Disco, Argentina. Queremos tocar por lo menos 5 shows este año. Vamos a tocar el sábado, este mismo sábado vamos a tocar el Rincón. Okay, that's gonna be lit. That's gonna be cool. There's hype for that. That's gonna be fun. Vamos a subir a San Juan for maybe like 2 shows en abril. Vamos para el ensayo y tenemos pendiente una presentación en San Juan Sound. That would be good. Like we're gonna present a San Juan Sound show. Hopefully, like have a fundraiser, sell tickets. That'll help towards the Argentina plan. So those are major goals. Y sí, como que pregunten, inviten, we'll go, we'll make it, we'll figure it out. Pero hasta ahora we're kind of doing our own thing. Pero en verdad, Grumpa cree en comunidad creativa. We really want people. We want more. We just want more. Más tribu, más conexión, más comunidad, más excelencia. Like, vamos más.
For sure. Ahorita dijiste como que a little piece of advice for artistas boricuas, sean de la isla o la diáspora, pero a piece of advice that you would give a kid coming out of high school who wants to be in the arts, what would that be?
Pues algo importante, you and I, people like us, we latch onto the scene and we integrate because ahí encontramos como que friends, comunidad, real life experiences, como que ahí es que está, como que salíamos, nos preparamos, and we go there to get that, you know, that feeling. Yo le diría, intégrate, comunícate, like, be around people who inspire you, be around people, like, chase. No, don't chase, pero si a ti tú estás inspirado por un artista que le mete caro, ask them questions, see what's up, follow, study their moves, study where they played, tu entrada, su fan base, qué es lo que tú quieres. Pero más allá de eso, like, be yourself.
Sure.
No, you know, like, no hay razón realmente. People can sense it. Like, when you're being ingenuine and no auténtico, people can sense it, they can feel it. And you're just better off being honest. Like, la mentira, al fin del día, todo lo real sube. Y be real. Be true, be honest, be sincere. And fuck. Esto es yo diciéndolo, pero I should take my own advice. Do what feels comfortable. Don't do what feels do what feels fun and exceed your comfort zone. O sea, sal de tu zona de confort, experimenta tu límite y después cuando ya haya experimentado tu límite, start chiseling and defining and creating your character and knowing and establishing and standing in your character and quién eres, and establish it and give it a name. It's like, don't call it Grumpa, because what the fuck? That's a funny story, but yeah, like, just be you, be yourself.
For sure. Dude, entonces, to close out the interview again, social media, all that good stuff.
Síguenos en Grumpa PR. Subscribe, like, share on the YouTube. Si quiere, mira, we're looking to create more visual content. If y'all know, or if you're interested in integrate, if you like our music, find us, talk to us. We love interacting with our fans. We love people. We love it. And any feedback encourages us to do better. And it validates us, and we're like, okay, this is worth it. Like, let's keep doing it. Y al final del día, eso es como que la salvación de rock and roll o la música en general. It just makes you feel, it makes you feel alive. It makes life worth it. And like, oh, okay, Like I'm not the only one who feels this way. Like this person put it down in words and in a rhythm. I like that. So
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful. Uh, Mano, as I stated in the beginning, this was long overdue. We finally got to do it. Next one, hopefully say that with the band, but talk more in depth, maybe break down some songs and stuff like that, you know.
yeah,
Uh, so thank you for saying yes, despite the long wait. Eh, Segundo, lots of health en lo que salimos de la pandemia, en su totalidad.
gracias.
Y tercero, mano, I'm always supporting you guys, so para adelante. You know how it is. Can't
Gracias.
wait for a full length project, you know.
Yeah.
A ver cómo se ve eso.
Simón.
Eh, in the future, maybe we could either do that. We can do a breakdown of that as well. I can do a review as well if you guys need it. Like what am I going
Yeah,
to?
I would love that. En verdad, I noticed que ahora está haciendo reviews,
Yeah,
¿verdad?
getting
It's
back to it.
I think that's a delicious idea. I think you're really good at it, and you should do that. Capitalize on that. It's we need more of it. Y
Thank you.
así también está exponiendo más música para más personas.
That's the main goal. That's the main goal. So, yeah, dude. No, thank you once again. Thank you for being so patient across time. Por fin se nos dio, you know. A ver cómo se sigue moviendo la cosa. Y hacemos la de la banda full fledged.
Yeah.
Su nombre es Xavier Osvaldo Aymat. La banda es Grumpa. My dude, thank you once again.